Turns, dropping back the pass. He's going to man in the flat. It's going to be caught by Brown. Down to the 5. Leapfrogs and into the end zone. Touchdown! Scotties! Brown does his best leapfrog impression, jumping over the defender and actually landing on top of him in the end zone. Scotties score and take the lead. Striking like a viper, it's Zealia Kleitz up front like a snake. Just that quick bite right there at the top of the net and viciously throws it down.
Welcome to Scottie Sports Talk.
Blocked there by the Scotties. It's going to be picked up and returned. Here comes Dominic Williams. He's at the 40-yard line, on the sideline, down to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Scotties! Blocked, field goal, returned for the score. Cha-ching! Ring it up here on the near side. It's Leslie Polanco going to Bouncetown.
Catch up on the latest in Highland Community College sports as we chat with coaches and student athletes.
Blocked up front. Nice job by Kohala and Orozco to swat that back in the face of Longview. And off here and swallowed up and at the line of scrimmage. Great play there, great penetration by Hill, and he was able to eat up the ball carrier.
Let's talk Scottie Sports. Now, here's your host and voice of the Scotties, Mike Smith.
And welcome in tonight here to the first edition of Scottie Sports Talk for the 2017-2018 school year. Mike Smith, the voice of the Scotties, with you here as the host tonight, and we'll be joined by a plethora of guests here this evening, as we'll have student athletes from volleyball, cross country, and football, and head coaches as well. Coach Arnold from football will join us, Coach John Bingesser from volleyball, and now joined by the cross country coach, Chad Clevenger. Coach, first off, off to a great start so far. 3 meets, logged thus far this season, and most recently the Southern Stampede, where maybe the best performances have been had by your individuals, of course, cross-country runners, but anybody particular maybe stand out to you in that one?
Oh, it was just a great team effort all the way across the board. Our women broke our school record for our best team time in a meet. Our guys we're surprised. First couple of meets were a little rough, and we really did well this past weekend. But when we have 3 women go under 20 for the first time ever, Ivanna, who you'll talk to in a little bit, just outstanding leader. Zekarias, he had a outstanding race running with the leaders for 4.5 miles. Leaders kind of broke away right near the end, but it was a great race and perfect conditions and everything you could ask for a cross-country meet.
You mentioned the 2 runners that we'll have on, and Ivanna and, of course, Zekarias as well, and they performed quite well. I mean, Zekarias was ultimately second place now in Highland history as far as his best time, and Ivanna now with 7th best time for her thus far this season. And you mentioned to me, too, before we got talking here on the show, that you thought maybe the teams were maybe ahead of schedule than where you were to start off the year.
Yeah, our guys came in a little out of shape, and so we've been reminding them of the hard work that we need to put in to get to where we need to be. We've established ourselves as a top 20 team every year, and we had to remind some of our guys of what it takes to be a top 20 team. And so first couple meets were a little shaky, but then we really just jumped out for our first 8K and blew me away. Way ahead of where I thought we'd be for 8,000 meters, and so that was a pleasant surprise. And so now we got to maintain and get better off of that. And the women just outstanding, steady across the board. I knew our women were going to be pretty solid this year, and we just needed to stay healthy. And so far so good.
You mentioned that, and I kind of knew too as well, that you had more coming back that were known as far as on the women's side, and that probably put them ahead of schedule than the men. And it seems like right off the bat they came out and performed pretty well at Allen County, and then at the Augusta Twilight as well, 19th out of 30 teams there. But then it kind of kicked into even higher gear at the Southern Stampede, and Ivanna kind of helping spearhead that. But do you feel that from top to bottom, everybody's kind of progressing where you want?
Oh, absolutely. We had 19 people competing, and we had 16 personal bests. And the only personal bests we didn't have that we don't consider are the first-time 8K runners. So all our women had their best personal best 5K. Our guys, our returners, had their best 8K. It was just an outstanding performance. And I was doing the math the other night, and our guys improved, our returners improved 67 seconds on the average per person. Our women were 75 seconds team average. So just unbelievable the way they stepped up and how they competed this past weekend.
You mentioned, too, that, of course, the women set the new school record as a team average at the Southern Stampede, so that's pretty impressive in itself there to
Absolutely.
be able to accomplish that feat and the average between all the gals. But also the men, I know I asked you about the women there, but the men kind of a little bit unknown coming into the year and trying to fit into their specific positions and learn how to get to where you want them to be. But from I guess meet number 1 to meet number 3, heads and tails a difference, it seems like.
Oh yeah, and let's think about that. On the men's side, at Missouri Southern, only one guy that was in our top 7 last year was in our raced on Saturday, and so to have a bunch of new guys and new faces, that was great. And so I think that we're starting to gel, we're starting to get going, and we've been training for the 8,000, and they were all nervous about it being a first time group, but we really stepped in that first meet and did really well.
Up next, of course, you're back in action on Friday at Emporia State, and then Fort Hays State after that on October the 7th. But any goals, particularly now that moving forward in this season, maybe you've accomplished some so far this year that now you have to set some new ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Our team average 24-14 on the women's side. We want to get that average under 20. If we can do that, get a little bit higher up on the team or the individual ranking list. I have a list of the top 80 times ever on the women's side. We've got every single woman on that list now, and so we want to just keep working our way up. And we had a meeting last night with the women and the men, and just okay, we've accomplished a lot of our goals already. We gotta stay humble that we've done those, and stay hungry and keep wanting more.
Definitely, that's obviously a positive thing. You come into the season, you've had 3 meets, and you've already accomplished several of your goals as well. Coach, best of luck moving forward with the rest of your season. And as you mentioned, we'll have a couple of your athletes coming up in just a bit here on the Scottie Sports Talk, as we'll have Ivanna Uribe and Zekarias Philipo coming up in just a moment here on Scottie Sports Talk. And we're back here on Scottie Sports Talk. Mike Smith with you here, now joined by a pair of cross-country runners, Ivanna Uribe and Zekarias Philipo. And first off, guys, congratulations on a successful start to this season. And Ivanna, I'll start off with you, but most recently competing at the Southern Stampede, and now you're 7th all-time here at Highland Community College with the time that you registered there. But how's the season been going so far, and how do you think you're progressing as a runner individually?
The season's been going really good, actually. It's better than I thought it would, just because over the summer I had a car accident, so I couldn't run as much as I wanted to. But it's been really good so far, and it's all been really steady, and the workouts are great, and we just keep getting better every day.
Zekarias, Zekarias, of course, you are now second all-time here at Highland Community College and performing quite well as well, and that feat accomplished just recently at the Southern Stampede. But I'll ask you kind of the same question. I mean, how do you feel that, 3 meets into this season, you're moving along here this year, so far this year?
It feels good to know that that I still have like more to go, and I can still keep pushing. And this just shows that I'm progressing more and more every time and every meet, so it's good.
Of course, you guys are kind of right there at the forefront of the women's and the men's teams, and kind of helping set the tone a little bit for your teammates as well. I wanted to kind of ask you about leadership, and do you feel that you're able to provide a good leadership for some of the other runners for you?
Yeah, I try my best. I always try to make sure everybody has like a straight mind and knows that the end goal is, we already qualified for nationals, but it's still just to get better times every time and just keep improving and just get higher up on the list, basically.
Scottie, same thing?
Yeah, same thing. I would just try to make sure like we're all running and doing the workouts right, and make sure we're all helping each other push. So, yeah.
One thing that Coach mentioned it was that you guys established obviously goals coming into the season, but it seems like some of those goals have already been attained and pretty quickly. And Zekarias, I'll start off with you this time. But how gratifying does that seem to you to have some of those goals already accomplished, but then now you've got to turn your attention to continuing to get better?
It feels good just knowing that I still have more left than I was expecting. When I first came here, I told Coach that I was going for the school record this year. And knowing that I'm halfway there, that's really good.
Ivanna, same thing. The girls, obviously, you mentioned already qualifying for nationals, but a lot of the other goals kind of seemingly already kind of attained coming into the season too. But ultimately, new set of goals and new mindset to continue to move forward.
Yeah, I didn't really expect to hit the 19s this soon. It was a surprise, but I'm also glad I did, because now I can just keep going, and hopefully, I don't know, it's just like really hard, but an 18 would be great. So we'll see.
Hey, you got to have lofty goals. If you don't have lofty goals, you're never going to continue to push yourself. And I'm sure one person that does push you guys is Coach Clevenger, of course. And just want to kind of ask you about him and his demeanor and what it means to have him as a coach.
Having Clev as a coach is really great, because even though he's our coach, he knows how to communicate with us well, and he's just like a friend basically. So I have a lot of trust in him. Anything I have going on, I just let him know, and so he's just always been there. So it's great.
Having Coach Clev is really great. He's like our second father to most of us, and he's always there for us, telling us to push and motivating us and making sure that we're keeping up our grades. And he's also always there for us for everything. So it's good to have him as a coach.
It seems like pretty good guys we've already established as well. But Coach is doing a good job with you guys, obviously, to get the season rolling along. But anything particular you guys are looking forward to for the rest of the season?
I've hit my goal, but I just keep getting better, I guess, so I can go to the school I want to go to.
Hopefully break the school record, or probably drop 24 or something. So.
All right. Well, I kind of wanted to ask you guys a few, more personal questions, I guess. Not too personal. I won't pry too much, but just to let let the listeners and watchers of the Scottie Sports Talk here get to know you guys a little bit more and get to know the student athletes. But I'll throw out some random questions here. But what's maybe one of your go-to songs when you put in the earbuds and get to running?
I like indie and alternative music, so my go-to song is Jungle by Tosh Sultana.
One I'm definitely not familiar with, but I'm sure I'll have to check it out.
I'll say the Migos. I try to get hype and try not to think about the race. So
I can understand that. Do you have any unique talents?
No.
Running is the talent, obviously, that you guys have. Hey, that's a unique talent in itself. Not everybody can be able to do that in itself. I know I can't have that stamina as well. But also here, what about what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday, I actually don't really have one. Yeah, they're just all equal, I guess.
You don't have one particular that you like more than the other?
No.
Scarias?
Say Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Any particular reason?
Just because all my families come together for Christmas, so I like seeing everyone.
I'll let you out on this one. What's your favorite thing about Highland Community College?
I just like how quiet it is and how easy it is to get things done, because at a bigger university, I think if I would have started, I would have had a lot of trouble with like studying and like homework and doing things, but it's nice because it's quiet enough here and there's not much going on, so I just stay really focused on academics.
I like how everyone's really nice in here. Like everyone's really friendly and all, so that's good.
Yeah, the atmosphere for the community and the campus, definitely one that is an enjoyable one. And I'll let you guys go. Thanks for joining me, Ivanna and Zekarias, and taking the time. And Ivanna, I know you got some homework to take care of that you're already hard at before you jumped on here with us on the air. But we'll continue with Scottie Sports Talk in just a little bit, and we'll switch it over to volleyball. We'll chat with head coach John Bingesser when we return. And welcome back here on Scottie Sports Talk on the Scottie Sports Network. Mike Smith alongside with you here, now joined by volleyball head coach John Bingesser. And Coach, you and the gals off to a great start this season. Actually, you started 4-0 to start the year out at the Southeast Tournament, but 13-3 now overall. Of course, a couple of conference victories as well. But what's, and we'll just start right with the whole entire season kind of grand scope of things, but what's your thoughts on how things have developed so far?
I think this season has gone very well so far. Like you said, the 4-0 start at the beginning of the year really set the tone. I mean, just our first match, I can go back to it now. We played North Platte. We swept them 3-0, and we kind of knew at that moment in time, okay, this is going to be us this year. This is going to be our normal, and it's only developed from there. We have hit a couple bumps along the way, but as is expected, and every one of those bumps has led to something that we were able to develop further on, and hopefully we can avoid those as our season continues to progress.
You mentioned some of the bumps and adversity. I've been along for the ride a little bit, doing some of the play-by-play, of course, for you and the gals. And I know that at the home tournament, first match didn't go your way, but bounce back, win the next three, go 3-1. Kind of the same thing at the McCook tournament as well. The gals showed great wherewithal to come back after the first match loss and win the next three and go 3-1 at that tournament too. And a little bit of adversity against KCK too as well. but the girls maybe seemingly have learned pretty well from those opportunities.
Exactly. We've definitely figured out what caused some of those, and I've learned this year from these girls, and this is such a relieving thought to have as a coach. We can pull out a 5-setter, and we can win in the long run. And at the beginning of the season, it was kind of a question mark still. Like we had that tough 5-set loss to Indian Hills, who is very good, and it kind of was that. Oh, can we finish a match? Will we be able to? And we have. And like you said against KCK, I mean, we jumped on them the first 2 sets. The next 2 were pretty much controlled by them, and then we were able to close it out in the 5th, just like we needed to. And we had a very similar match to that when we were at McCook with Cloud County. We did the same thing, but they showed to me that we can push and we can finish, and they want to win, and that's awesome.
Coming into the season, you had a few known commodities coming back for yourself, of course, and Leslie and Z and Coy and such. But ultimately, you had some other gals who were going to have to step in automatically and make some big impacts as usual at a junior college level. And you feel the team chemistry's coming along as far as that goes? I
do, and it's always a little nerve-wracking when you are freshman loaded, because we're a very freshman-heavy team, and sometimes you think, okay, can these girls make that transition from high school to JUCO or high school to college, because it is a big leap, and with only 3 sophomores returning, I really had to rely on their leadership skills and their ability to set the example for those freshmen, and I don't think they've really missed a beat, and I do credit those 3 sophomores for that, but I also think the freshmen have done a really good job of sticking it out, and with that team chemistry, I think it's only gotten tighter.
Ranks in the Jayhawk Conference, you're in the top 5, ranked 4th, matter of fact, in kills, assists, and digs total-wise. And it's not just one gal or 2 gals contributing in all of those statistical categories. It's all over the board. I mean, several different gals have stepped up, and then you've called upon some of the others. Just one that comes to my mind in the tournament here at home. Hannah Williams hadn't played at all yet at that point, and you put her in, and she comes up with some big plays. And Mallory Wagner as well. The gals like that are stepping in among the others that are playing more frequently, but getting contributions from everybody.
Yep, it is nice to have that, and it's kind of cool too to have that bench that you can trust to go in and to continue with the momentum that we need. One thing that you were saying too about, our not just one girl leading in kills, not just 2, but multiple girls. I credit that to our setter. I mean, Katie, she's done so great at running an offense, and her decision-making skills are at a higher level than our own, and she really has done a good job of making girls break their own personal records. And like for one match, Z might have 15 kills. The next match, Z might have 4 kills, and Coy will have 10 kills. And it's just because of who we're playing on the other side, what matches up with them the best for us, and who's going to be successful at that moment in time.
You mentioned Katie. She's coming up. We'll chat with her, and Zealia as well, going to be joining us in just a bit. But you get to dip into conference play here quite a bit now in the next few games at Allen County coming up this week. You got a date at home against University of St. Mary's JV, and then a couple of Jayhawk conference matchups the next week after that, Coffeyville and Labette. But what are you telling the girls to keep their mindset right for Jayhawk conference play kind of in full swing now?
Well, we just know that Wednesday nights are the nights. I mean, of course, our tournaments, they are district prep. I mean, you go in, you win 2 matches. That's our district. You win 2 matches. You have to. And so tournament play and going up and playing teams like Iowa Central, those are practice. Those are just district prep for us. Wednesday's where it counts, and that's just kind of been our theme of the season. Wednesday. And I know that next week is going to be hard. I mean, Coffeyville on Monday, and then Labette. So it's only going to get tougher from here. But I think we're ready for the challenge.
Well, Coach, best of luck with the matchups. I'll be seeing you around at a few of them coming up, of course, as usual. But thanks for taking the time to join us on the very first Scottie Sports Talk of the year.
Thank you.
Of course, we'll be joined by a couple of volleyball players, Zealia Kleitz and Katie Pearson, when we return after this break here on the Scottie Sports Talk. And welcome back here on Scottie Sports Talk on the Scottie Sports Network, of course, streaming on YouTube and ScottieAthletics.com. Mike Smith, the voice of the Scotties, with you here as we have our first edition of Scottie Sports Talk this season, now joined by a pair of volleyball players and 13-3 record. Zealia Kleitz joining me and Katie Pearson as well. And off to a great start as I was talking with Coach, and a couple hiccups maybe here and there, but obviously those adversities you can learn from. And ladies, I'll just ask you first, how you think the season's gone, and what have you maybe learned about your own team?
First of all, the season has gone really well, I would say. Starting off the tournament 4-0, really, like John said, that was our normal, here on out. Some of the things we've learned are hiccups from, losing to teams maybe we shouldn't have lost from, but definitely the outcome of learning of what we can do and how we can push and do better. It's something that we have definitely had to overcome.
Yeah, exactly what Katie said. Like, coming out 4-0 in that first tournament really set the tone for us, and I think it helped us push and get the 13 wins that we've had. And then the hiccups are those are something we can get over easily, I think. So it's going to be a good year, I think.
Zia, I wanted to kind of ask you, coming back with experience and being under coach last year and being looked to, I'm sure, as a leader, how do you feel that, you've been able to take on that role and maybe help gals like Katie along to get them, where they need to be?
I think that hopefully my attitude on the court helps the girls. Just like if we're down in the game, then I try not to freak out too much, and I think that it helps the other girls do the same. And then I think overall our whole team just we don't really freak out anyone really, so it's good.
That's important. To keep that composure, obviously, is going to be take you a long way, obviously, in this season. And Katie, you step into a very prime position in volleyball at the setter spot, and you have to have chemistry with a lot of gals and knowing how to set them up and what they like to see in those scenarios. And so far this season, 521 set assists. That's nearly 9 per set, and you rank in 5th in the JHOT conference in that, and total assists as well. And of course, you got an honor from JHOT conference as setter of the week. And what did it mean to you to be able to get that honor?
I give all that credit to my team. Like, I wouldn't be able to make the sets if I don't have my passes, or to get them get the kills. Like, it wouldn't be the same without them. So I definitely give credit to them. But it was definitely awesome to receive that as a freshman, so soon, I would say.
What's it like to, setting up 2 of the top 5 JHOT conference gals in kills in Z and Leslie?
Definitely feel lucky to have top hitters already, and hopefully we keep getting more and more hitters up there as well.
Z, I was going to ask you too. Obviously ranked in the top 5 in kills in the JHOT conference, right there towards the top behind Leslie on the team. But how do you feel that overall kind of the team chemistry is going through 16 matches played? And you've kind of played different styles of matches. You've played a few 5-set matches. You've played matches where you guys controlled and dominated and won in 3 sets easily as well. But how do you feel that team chemistry is going?
I think it's really good. Like, we do a good job of adjusting to each other, whoever's on the court at whatever time, and yeah, it's going really good.
I asked Coach too about the contribution. Obviously, there is more of a rotation that he's been able to establish as the season progresses, but a lot of the gals are getting in too. You got a deep bench that has contributions from all around. But how do you feel that those other gals are stepping in and making impacts right and left?
They do a really good job of coming in, like I said, and adjusting well to whoever else is on the court, and not skipping a beat from who came out. So John always tells us to better what the person who went out, make it better when you go in. And so I think a lot of the girls do a really good job of keeping the score going up as they come in.
What's the mindset? I asked Coach the mindset, obviously, entering kind of conference play here in this big window. You have 3 conference games or matches in the next 4 matches overall. But does the mindset or the message from Coach change a little bit at this point?
Not really. It's always been win and focus on winning. So
that's the important part of the factor there, of course, as you continue to progress along. But any particular thing that maybe has stood out to you in the first 16 matches that that Coach has reiterated as something that you need to work on or just continue to better?
Definitely Well, we've struggled a bit with the outside position. We have Leslie, who's like an all-star, obviously, but we've struggled with having a consistent outside. So definitely the girls who get the chances to step in, that's something that we've been working on, but I definitely think we have Sydney in there right now, and she's been doing a really good job.
You mentioned Sydney, of course, getting some starts as of late, and Emma's played well as well too, and a lot of gals as well too. But the season, of course, progresses along with some matchups in JI Conference play. Allen County, your next one, but best of luck in that one, of course. By the way, but before we let you go, I want to ask you some, just get to know you type questions and stuff. I know you were eagerly awaiting this, but I'm gonna go with we'll go with what's your biggest motivating factor for volleyball?
Biggest motivating factor.
What gets you motivated for the matches?
Usually before we go play, somebody's always has like the music blaring, and we all just get pumped up to it. And then John comes in, and we have our motivational speaker have our talk, and that pumps us up.
All right, Z, I'll ask you this one. Well, first I'll preface it as saying we're both from Osawatomie, so we went to the same high school. But I'll ask you your favorite teacher here at Highland, but favorite teacher in high school too.
Favorite teacher in high school is Mr. Engel. He has been there forever, and he really knows how to do his job, and he's really just a really good guy. I liked him a lot. So.
You got a favorite teacher here at the school? Or subject?
Right now, my favorite subject is physical science. I like my teacher a lot, Mr. I don't even remember his name.
Well, whoever teaches physical science here at Highland, good job. And by the way, Mr. Engel, he was a Spanish teacher when I was in school as well too. So he's been around quite some time. So we've had the same teacher there. Also, I asked Ivanna and of course Zach as well. Of course, any unique talents? I'll ask you both there. You guys got any unique talents?
No. I can draw pretty well. I'm an artist, I guess.
There you go. Not everybody can do that. Katie, you said you don't got any unique talents?
Volleyball.
That is a unique talent in itself. Not everybody can, set it up like you, and get things rolling for your teammates. Also, I'll let you out on this one. What is your go-to karaoke song or favorite song just to sing along to, at home?
If I did karaoke ever, I'd probably choose like "Don't Stop Believing" or something. Everyone knows it.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah.
If I did karaoke, I'd probably choose "Staying Alive."
Couple of good ones. Yeah, nice. Everybody knows those, so they could join in too. That'd be some good karaoke songs. Well, Katie and Z, thanks for taking the time to join me here on the very first Scottie Sports Talk of the year, and looking forward to covering you gals, of course, with more volleyball coming up this season.
Thank you.
And we will continue with Scottie Sports Talk. Not done yet. We're going to chat some football for you coming up in just a bit. Head coach Aaron Arnold going to join me. We'll have a couple of the players as well coming up in just a bit. And welcome back here on Scottie Sports Network. Mike Smith still with you here, of course, as we continue to chat Scottie Sports, and we switch it to football. Head coach Aaron Arnold joining me, and coach, you and the guys 2-1, fresh off of a 34-0 throttling of Iowa Central, and getting a big time victory in that one with the defense highlighting some things with only 88 yards given up in that game, -5 yards for them in the first half alone, and 9 sacks, and offensively quite balanced as well in that contest. But before we talk about that, let's go back and revisit the start of the season. You obviously get ready for the season. You go take on 15th ranked Dodge City on the road at their place. Fall down early, 12-0, and kind of faced some adversity there. But the guys showed true grit and ultimately battled back and got that huge W to open up the season.
Yeah, we always say when you go on the road in the Jayhawk, you're always spotting the other team 2 touchdowns before you start the game, and it's just kind of a saying, but we took it literally and we went out and spotted them 2 touchdowns, and just some young guys making mistakes and just a tough situation. But we've got a pretty veteran group, and they understand. We've come back from behind, and we've got a good culture here. And on the sideline there was never any panic. I think we knew, okay, we're fine. We knew we needed to go. It was time to get to work, but no one was panicking. It wasn't like we were freaking out over there, and we came back and fought back and secured a nice win. I think anytime you can go beat a ranked team at their place in the Jayhawk Conference, that's a pretty good day.
You went in with 2 guys playing quarterback and settled in with Kyle in the second half a little bit, and he did extremely well in the game. And Kevin Brown had an exceptional game in his debut for you as a Scottie, 108 yards and a touchdown on just 9 carries. But defensively, Jeremiah Hill had 12 tackles, and he's kind of been spearheading that defense so far in that game. And then you head into week 2, some good momentum off that big victory against Dodge, and you take on number 3 Garden City, a game in which you get a big special teams play in the first half, and that kind of gets you a little bit hyped at that situation, and you're leading, but ultimately they come back and get out of here with the 27-23 victory, unfortunately, and for them. And what do you take away from a game like that as a learning experience for moving forward?
Well, I think first and foremost, I hope that what our guys heard me saying was that you don't get to make excuses after a game, and there seems to be a trend with coaches today that we lost because, and it doesn't really matter. You either win or you lose, and so that's what we talked about after the game. We don't get to put an asterisk by that one and say, well, we should have probably won that game and we were ahead. It doesn't matter. You either win or you lose, and we weren't good enough to win that day. So, we've got to learn from that. We didn't finish. We were ahead. Late in the fourth quarter, we were ahead. We had a lead, lost the lead, came back, secured the lead again, and gave up the lead for a second time, and we just didn't finish the game. And so our guys have to learn from that when you're playing a great team, it takes 60 minutes to put them away, and we played for 58, and it wasn't enough.
Of course, then you went into the bye week, and I know we've talked before the Sports Talk Show here in preparation for covering the games that you thought it was one of the best bye weeks that you've had with your teams as a coach, and come out of that bye week with that 34-0 win that I mentioned earlier against Iowa Central, and a lot of things going well against a team I know that has been struggling, but ultimately the guys seem to be ultra aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, great balance on offense in that game. What's maybe the big takeaway from that one on the road?
Well, I think hopefully the big takeaway for our guys was that that happened because we worked so hard. I think if you ask them, did we have a lot of fun during our bye week? No. It was a pretty unpleasant stretch of 14 days. We got after them pretty good, but they responded, and they went out and they worked really hard, and they got better, and we fixed the things that we weren't good at in week 1 and week 2, and you could see that in week 3. That there were some things that we fixed. Primarily, we caught the football. We're a lot better when you can't put 9 guys in the box and force us to run. We can throw the ball a little bit. So defense played well, but our defense really always plays well, and they're a lot better whenever they're standing on the sideline, and when we were able to put them on the sideline a little bit. So it was a good team win on Saturday, but I think the message for our guys was that it's not good enough. And when we came back, and I always give guys 24 hours to feel good about it. I don't want to take that away from them, but I also want them to understand when they go back and really assess the game, you have to be critical. You have to go back and break down that game field after a win the same way that you do after a loss. And I think our guys are, as they mature and grow, they're starting to understand what that takes and what that looks like. And hopefully we've come back this week very unsatisfied with the way we played on Saturday, because we always should be, and trying to get better. And we've got a great opponent that we're getting ready for this week, and hopefully it's not real hard to get anybody motivated.
I'll ask you about Hutch, who, of course, you're playing on Saturday in a bit, but you mentioned catching the ball. Ronnie did that quite frequently against Iowa Central. Jamison had 7 receptions for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Kyle Kearns, the quarterback, 16 of 22 for 257 and 4 TDs, and a couple of defensive statistics. Rico Hanna comes back after, of course, setting out because of the targeting call week 2, but 11 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Team had 9 sacks in the game ultimately. But I wanted to ask you about both sides of the ball, and I guess we'll just start on offense. And you preach running the ball, and you want to set the tone with the guys out of the backfield, and Kevin and Willie, and they've done a good job there. But the balance has been there as well too. 7 different guys, I believe, or at least maybe 6 different guys in all 3 games have caught a pass. So good ball distribution, whether it be out of the backfield or in the passing game, and great balance so far from the offense.
We want to be balanced, and I guess that's kind of a Mike Leach deal. Balance isn't necessarily being 50-50 run pass. Balance is spreading the ball across the field to all your different playmakers, and we've got so many talented guys on offense. It's a waste to not get guys the ball when they have fresh legs. So we try to rotate guys in at different positions and do some different things to create some opportunities to get our best guys the ball, and we're fortunate we've got a lot of fun toys to play with, and it's just a matter of executing what we're trying to get done. And I think if you look at it, in week 1 and 2 we didn't do a very good job of that, and in week 3 we did, and the results were very different, obviously, and that's what we have to continue to do is just keep getting better and finding new ways to get those guys the ball.
Defensively, obviously, I mentioned the performance against Iowa Central, but Jeremiah Hill's been kind of spearheading that, leading tackle in 2 of the 3 games. Rico Hanna comes back and has a monster game as well against Iowa Central, and 9 sacks in that game. Defensive line kind of picked it up, it seemed like, in that contest as well. But how'd you grade the defense so far through 3 games?
I think they've played really well. I think they've been, for the most part, good enough to win the game. I think versus Garden City they had a couple of let-ups. It would have been nice once we scored to have gotten a stop, but we also didn't have a very good kick, and they kind of put them in a tough spot. We played week 1 without Rico, and week 2 without Rico, and week 2 versus Garden. Trey Barrett, one of our best safeties, got ejected from the game for targeting as well. So we've kind of had some maybe questionable targeting calls that didn't go our way, but that's part of the game. And so we really played 2 weeks in a row without 2 of our very best players. And this week we got Rico back, and I'm obviously really excited to get Trey back. Jeremiah's a really good football player. Jeremiah's the kind of kid that I like to watch him play. I'm his coach, but I also kind of become a spectator with him, just the way he plays. He plays so hard, and it's he's the kind of kid you wish you had 63, 85 Jeremiah Hills, and he's not perfect, and there are days where he makes me very angry. I'm looking at him right now off camera, but for the most part, I love the kid, and he just plays hard every single day, and he plays football the way you're supposed to play it. He has fun. He flies around. He makes his teammates better. He takes coaching. He works hard. He's tough. He's physical. I mean, you can't really say enough good things about the kid. He's what we need over there.
I'll get you out of here on this. Look ahead to Hutch coming up. Of course, you go to their place, and what are you looking for in the matchup against the Blue Dragons?
I think Hutch will be the best team we've played to date. I haven't watched all the film of everybody else in conference, but out of the teams we've played so far, I think they're the best team that we will have played. I think they're unbelievably talented. They're big, they're fast, they're strong, they're physical, they're well coached. I mean, they're an elite football team, and we got to go to their place. And I think they're going to be excited to play us. We beat them 2 years in a row, and I don't think that probably sits real well with them. They're a competitive group of guys, and then they're going to come give us their very best shot. And I hope our guys are excited to go play in that environment. I think the guys who we have here, one thing that always comes across to me is the bigger the game, the bigger the challenge, the more excited it is. It's hard to get these guys excited to go play against an 0-3 football team. They do a good job and they rise to the occasion, but when we go in and play a team who's probably going to be in the top 10 in the country after this week, after they beat Garden, I don't have any problems getting our guys motivated to go play, and they look forward to that opportunity to go compete at the highest level, and I think it'll be a physical football game, and should be fun to watch.
Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us on our first very Scottie Sports Talk of the season, and it's been a pleasure following the guys and you as well so far this season. Looking forward to Saturday, making the trip to Hutch, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Head coach Aaron Arnold right there of the football team. We'll continue with Scottie Sports Talk coming up here shortly, as we'll be joined by two football players, Ronnie Jamison and Jeremiah Hill. Join us next here on the Scottie Sports Talk. And we're back here on Scottie Sports Talk, our final segment of the first edition in the 2017-2018 school year. Mike Smith with you here, and now joined by a pair of Scottie football players, Ronnie Jamison and Jeremiah Hill. Guys, first off, congratulations on a 2-1 start to this season and a big victory at 34-0 over Iowa Central on the road. I know, 0-3 team, but still you got to go out and play the game, and you guys did that exceptionally well in that contest. But how would you, grade the season so far, on the progression of the team? Ronnie, I'll start with you.
I feel like we're progressing at a rate. We're progressing, but not as fast as like we want to. We know we have a lot of players and stuff like that, and a lot of guys that can do different things, but we feel like we're not clicking at the same time. Like Coach said, the defense helps the offense out a lot. It's like the offense doesn't help the defense out as far as, like, for instance, the Garden City game. As far as what he said, the defense might have not showed up. If we would have showed up a few more times on offense, then that would just count it.
Jeremiah?
I just feel like weekly we just need to get better at all positions on the field. There's no blame on any part. We just need to get better at all positions on the field.
Of course, you guys come back with some pretty good experience for yourself and some of the key leaders on the team as captains as well. What's it like, to be a captain and, know that that leadership role kind of falls on your back, to kind of help things on offense and defense? Jeremiah, I'll start with you.
So, I mean, with us playing already in this conference, other guys look to us to ask questions, younger guys ask us on like what they supposed to do, how's the game, and the game is the game, it doesn't really change. Football is football anywhere you go. You just got to play full speed and aggressive.
Ronnie, what about you, man?
Yeah, it's basically what he said, and it's kind of like you get labeled as a captain, but it's not really anything different. When you're a captain, it's just like they expect you to do the things that everyone is expected to do. It's just that some guys may not do it, and you're expected to do it every time. And, you know, if you're a captain, then that just means that everybody's eyes on you, and you just have to set the example. And so it's really not anything. It's not anything big to be a captain. It's just the fact that, you know, eyes are going to be on you, and you're expected to do what you're supposed to do.
Jeremiah, I wanted to ask you about, the defensive performance against Iowa Central was definitely a pretty good one. 88 yards you guys give up, that's it. -5 yards they had in the first half. But you've been able to kind of help set the tone, at the linebacker spots and rank towards the top of the conference. Tied for 4th in tackles per game and total tackles in the JAOC conference you are. And I know you had a couple of guys missing in action in a couple weeks, Rico and Trey as well. But setting that tone, it seems like the defensive line kind of stepped up their game against Iowa Central. Do you feel that the guys maybe stepped it up against Iowa Central and need that kind of performance as the season progresses?
Well, of course, we need the presence of the defensive line. They're very important to the defense at every position on defense. We just need to progress each week. Me as a linebacker, just watch film, take coaching day by day, and we missed Trey and we missed Rico, and we got them back this week, and that's going to be tremendous for us.
Ronnie, of course, you had a big game against Iowa Central too. 7 catches, 117 yards, and a couple touchdowns in that game, and ranked 3rd in the conference in receiving yards per game, tied for 2nd for receiving touchdowns with 3. But helping set the tone, I talked to Coach about ball distribution on offense. And are you just kind of trying to, lead by example out there at wide receiver? Show the guys, hey, you can get in there and make some big plays too.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of guys that can make plays and stuff with the ball, but it's just getting the ball first. I know in week 2 we didn't do a good job of that, so I'm just trying to go out there every day in practice, and we're just trying to emphasize catching the ball every day at practice and just take it a little bit more serious. As receivers, they expect you to catch the ball, and we expect ourselves to catch it, so we just kind of like get lackadaisical at times. So we're just trying to progress with it each day.
I know Coach says, celebrate the win, 24 hours, get focused on the next game, and the next game being the Blue Dragons of Hutch, who's off to a great start this season and playing well. But what are you looking forward to in a matchup, against a big-time ranked team going on the road again?
Well, they're big on the offense and physical. Got some tremendous athletes over there. So we're just looking for a good game, and we're definitely going to play hard, and we're looking for it.
Yeah, definitely looking for a good competitive game. And, for myself, I know I want to show up in this game because I know it's going to be a big one, and the last time I feel like I didn't do what I was expected of myself. So, I feel like I want to show up, and I know that everybody else is. I know the defense is for sure. So if we go out there and match the defense's intensity, I feel like it should be a good outcome.
Well, guys, best of luck in that ball game. And before we get out of here and sign off for our very first Scottie Sports Talk, want to get to know you myself, and of course let the listeners and watchers get to know you as well. So had some unique different types of questions for you here as well. But if you could visit anywhere in the world, where would you decide to go?
Where you want to go?
I guess I would just the place that I would like to eventually would be probably Africa, just to see like their culture and stuff like that, and just to observe like how they're living and stuff like that. That's where I would travel.
Ronnie, what about you, man?
I feel like I would like to visit. Probably, I want to go to California.
All right. What's the pregame ritual for you? You got a pregame ritual going into the game?
Just music. Just watching film before the game. Just taking notes on the keys that the coach has given us for this game and stuff like that. Just getting pumped up.
I feel like that's a coach answer.
Yeah.
But Ronnie.
Yeah, I like to listen to music and then highlights, like he said. I like to watch Stephon Diggs highlights before the games, and listen to some songs.
Nice. Well, you guys both said music, so I asked a few of our other guests earlier, but what's the go-to song on the iPod that you want to jam out to before a game?
I think a song that's coming out for me is called Hardaway, and that's a new good song for me. I like to listen to it.
Mine changes weekly. So last week it was We Ball by Meek Mill, but this week I think it's gonna be Conscious by Kodak.
All right. And I'll let you out on this one, but what's your favorite thing about Highland Community College?
I'll go first. I just like the people. Everybody, it's like a family here. So when you come here, just expect greatness. You know, everybody suspect greatness from you, and just take care of your business. And this is a place of business. So if you come to Highland, just take care of your business.
Yeah, I agree with his answer, most definitely. But my favorite thing about Highland will probably be Stop and Shop. I like to go to Stop and Shop and refill my tank and stuff after a long, hard practice. And I like to get Skittles from Stop and Shop.
Nice. I'll have to remember the Skittles next time, man. But thanks, guys, for taking the time, of course, joining us on the very first Scottie Sports Talk. Best of luck on Saturday at Hutch. I'll see you guys out there for that one, and hopefully, again, maybe on Sports Talk later on the road.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you as well.
Ronnie Jamison and Jeremiah Hill, of course, for the football team. As this is going to do it for our first Scottie Sports Talk show of the year. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Bi-weekly, we're going to do the Sports Talk show here on the Scottie Sports Network, October the 2nd. You can catch it at 6:30 that Monday night. But you can catch all Scottie Sports, of course, for you on the Scottie Sports Network at ScottieAthletics.com for the links. You can also watch back here tonight's Scottie Sports Talk for the very first time, back on the Scottie Sports Network on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching, everyone.